Happy Chanukah, everybody. It's Aaron Shub talking to you from Balboa Park in San Diego. As you can see, it's December in California. And this morning, I put on my tefillin like I do 6 mornings a week. And in those tefillin are parchments which contain the mitzvah to eat matzah on Passover, to avoid chametz on Passover, and a reminder that we were slaves in Egypt until God took us out into God's service from slavery to a human king, into another oppressing culture. Now, this is Chanukah, another time when we remember our having been redeemed from oppression by another dominating society, by another human king. Antiochus of the Seleucid, the Syrian Greek Empire, forbade the practice of Judaism and rededicated the temple in Jerusalem to Zeus. A lot of Jews at the time went along with it. They thought, hey, we kind of like exercising, we kind of like Greek philosophy. And those who didn't want to go with the program faced some very severe penalties. Chanukah is another feast of freedom. Just as we call Pesach a feast of freedom, so is Chanukah a feast of freedom. The Maccabees rose up, and despite the odds, a group of spiritually dedicated zealots won against the most powerful empire in the world at the time, releasing their people from oppression and allowing their people and their culture to continue, and allowing us to have this conversation now. Key differences between Pesach and Chanukah. Who redeems us from Egypt explicitly, according to the story? No army. There were no Maccabees that rose up and fought off the Egyptian armies. God split the sea. In the case of the Maccabees, there was an army that was unlikely to win. A tiny army against one of the greatest military forces of its time, and they won. If being taken out of Egypt for the purpose of serving God is what Passover is about, what does that mean? What's the Jewish God? The Jewish God's name is unpronounceable and not really fully comprehensible, but we do see that it's the word for being in all three tenses at once. It's the essence of existence, what the world is before there was a world, what will be after there is a world. And if we are servants of that, then that means that standing up for ourselves means finding that unconditioned, undefined part of us, who we are before other people have a chance to tell us who we are outside of and independent of what other people want us to be. And it's only when one takes a stand in that one's able to defeat the Greeks or to leave Egypt. And that's only possible when we move ourselves aside. Egocentrism is rooted in caring too much about what people think of you. How are other people going to judge me? What can other people do to me? When you are attached to the rightness of your mission, and when you are attached to the core of who and what you are, and that overrides concern for what others may think of you or may do to you, there's enough power to be found in that to defeat an imperial army. That's what it is that Chanukah celebrates. The victory of the few over the many, is rooted in that. That's how Chanukah and Pesach are really about the same thing. The concept of bitul, of pushing aside your ego, does not mean giving yourself up to the authority of another person. It doesn't mean submitting to somebody else. That's what we were taken out of Egypt to get out of. Overcoming your physicality to attach to spirituality does not mean denigrating the holy and God-given body that you have and offer. Faith in God does not mean lack of human action. Humility does not mean lack of confidence. Chatzavnu basela adam vayhi. We do hew at the rock until we bleed and find light. We act, we do, we understand, and we acknowledge the source of our ability to do these things. There's nothing inherently wrong or evil about Greek culture. It gave us philosophy, art, science, athleticism, all great things. It's simply important for us to remain who we are. And Chanukah teaches that to remain who you are is accomplished by humility, by pushing aside your understanding of what other people believe you should be, not letting human beings decide what your work is in the world, but being an Oved Hashem, being a servant of the essence of existence. Purify your oil and it will last for more than one day. I wish you all a happy Chanukah.